better as brothers, and to leave with some sort of message that is profound to you, to us, because we certainly learn every single time. And even looking back at the episodes, a lot of times the message in how men speak, which is to speak out loud and get clarity by speaking out loud and in some sort of community, certainly leaves us better as brothers. So today's topic, you are what you eat. There's so much to unfold with that, and during the show I do apologize. I'm probably going to be using a lot of puns, like bite-sized pieces and things like that. So
apologize. Be yourself.
I'm going to be myself, yes. So before we go into you are what you eat and what we understand by it, let me just read what I saw here. Your diet is not only what you eat. It is what you watch, what you listen to, what you read, the people you hang around. Be mindful of the things you put into your body, emotionally, spiritually, and physically. I do apologize, I didn't have my glasses. Maybe I should eat more carrots. So the topic is a lot bigger than simply you are what you eat. It's the sum of all of its parts. So let's move on swiftly. To my right, you're waiting for me to bust one. I could drop one,
You go ahead.
To my right, Johan IOTK behavior change consultant. To his right, Niall Dalton Brown, lifestyle and wellness expert. Coach, lifestyle and wellness coach. So I need some ginkgo. Yeah, that's clearly what I have to eat there. Mm-hmm. And to his right, you're not hearing it twice, but it's nice. Yeah, Niall McNish. Mm-hmm. Let's get straight into it. You are what you eat. What are we taking away from that?
All right. So, according to research, your subconscious mind or your unconscious mind programs 80% of your behavior, right? But the unconscious or subconscious mind doesn't know the difference between right or wrong. All it knows is repetition. So whatever you hear all the time, you see all the time, or you're around all the time, programs who you are. So the diverse definition that Robert gave is not just what you put in your mouth or what you consume physically, is all around. So that's what comes to mind first, because you will notice sometimes when you're around people who speak a certain way, even if they have an accent, sometimes you pick it up, right? If you notice people move a certain way, and what happens at times, we do it and then we say, how come I do that? Or how come I say that? And you're not even aware, because unconscious or subconscious, how being around that so much programs who you are.
You know, what comes to mind for me is culture and all that comes with it, and how culture changes from the environment you're in. You know, for instance, carnival, you could do things to women on the street that in another time of the year you'd go to jail for. Or, you go to...
Hold up there. Before we use puns like denial, I don't want to be in denial or senile. Just clarify what you're saying. If we do things to women, just be clear. This show,
wine culture.
Yeah,
right.
Wine in your car, that's illegal.
Right.
Yeah, it's unlawful. It's unlawful.
Once the woman permits it, you can conduct in a certain dance that is cultural. Right? Let's just be clear as to what that. Let's be very clear, gents.
We want to be lucidly clear.
Yeah, lucidly clear as to what is allowed, and by allowed meaning on the streets of Trinidad and Tobago, which might normally be seen as something vulgar, but also the woman has to allow it. Yeah. Okay.
So right, disclaimer, and even what you're saying there about culture, not only for carnival, but many times I've noticed sometimes people wait until one person do something and then they follow suit. So just in alignment with what you're saying about what to eat. So if you are wrong and you've seen people doing certain things, right, then you would also do it if you're so inclined. But I've seen monkey see monkey do. Right? That's the Trinidadian term for it.
But Robert, you're saying if it's allowed by the woman, but if she denies it, nothing happens to the person still. So but
you could get a hurry hand, but anyway, go ahead.
Well, you might get a hurry hand, but so in terms of saying the culture of an environment, if you like to party a lot, you probably eat junk food, because if you drink, your inhibitions go down. So a healthy person would be doing something that he wouldn't otherwise do. So, so culture has a lot to do with it. You look at cultures of different schools, different countries. Some countries would say, we're a disciplined country. We produce the best engineers. Some countries say, well, we're the best limers. And so whatever you value and whatever your culture is pushed, most of us will follow.
So then, I was never a fan of the line, you are what you eat. And it sounds like y'all, based on what I'm hearing y'all say, are agreeing with me simply because it's not you are what you eat, it's really you eat who you are, right? Because your nutrition, and by nutrition we're talking about your environment, everything that you're absorbing as a human, really is a reflection of who you're around, what you're around, and what you have access to. So that line that has been, yes, of course, eating the correct things that is most nutritious is of course beneficial, but the main issue is what do I have access to? So it's really about what is the most beneficial to me at that particular moment, right?
Mm-hmm. Is it what is most beneficial to you or what is available? Because there's certain environments. So, for example, most people, I don't think anybody generally wants to eat bad. You know, and a lot of times when you hear you are what you eat, so you eat bad, you look bad, and you feel bad.
That's true, boy.
Right?
You don't intentionally want to eat bad.
Yeah, I'm just saying, like, okay, so if there are many things apart from things like soy. I mean, I detest soy and what's the other one, tofu and things like that. But generally, if you like something, it is in the bad food, or bad food is normally cheap and it's easy access to get to. But if you really when it comes down to brass tacks, if you put something in front of someone and says, hey, this is real bad for you, but let me make this for you, and you give them that easier to access, I don't think someone's gonna go, nah, I want that other thing, or I don't care. I'm talking about as a build-up over time, not initially you come out. Gotcha. You come out like a party, and you just want to lash into a gyro or something like that at that point. But again, normally you find that the good things that are good for you are more expensive.
I have a little pushback on that.
Well, let me finish now, if you don't mind. Sure. I mean, push back. I mean, that's what we're about. It's a podcast. It could push back, you know.
Gotcha.
So I'm trying to deliver it in bite-sized pieces, right? To be able to digest it.
That's a big bite.
Yeah, like, whoa,
that's all right. But I mean, there's a child's bite, there's an adult bite, there's a man who
hungry bite.
You really full
right?
course.
So
hippopotamus bite.
So allow me to I want you to digest this before you start to get. You know,
I think it's going to like for this one.
We only gonna allow me to. Okay, good. So as we're now processing the thought, right? Right now you're giving me indigestion. You have people who can afford certain things, and therefore, if you're eating, say, some fast food, it might be what is cheap and affordable and easy to get to at that point. And then other times in your environment, if you don't know, they always say, if you know better, do better. But if you're growing up eating that type of food and drinking, say, like a lot of soda and a lot of sugar and all of these things like that, that's all you know. And you might even know that it's bad for you. And then on another case, it is just a matter of, again, what is easier to get to. But if you decide, hey, I want to change my lifestyle, that's not always easy to do. I don't want to go down in this segment as to some of the things that are really good for you. Like if eat farm salmon is bad for you. You know, you should be eating like wild salmon if you're going to eat salmon. There are different types of foods that people generally think they're eating, like for example, water. There's bubble water, and then you realize it has a lot of sodium in it, whereas the other products. So there's all of these different things as we're speaking specifically to eating.
Okay.
But what we're trying to break down here now, which is no longer a bite size, I realize now is like a whole.
It's a meal.
I leave in him or no?
It's a meal.
I leave in him.
It's a meal. We're talking about you are what you eat in context is more than just the food. It's emotionally, spiritual, and physically.
Well, nutrition. I think it's easier if we just kind of label everything as nutrition, right? But if we're talking about food, the pushback that I had earlier was when you said that cheap food are generally bad for you and good food is relatively expensive, right? I don't see it like that. I see it as everything has a nutritional value. It has some with less, it has some with more. right? And when you have a scale like that, then you could understand, okay, something with more nutrition may cost more as to something with less nutrition. Now, education assists people in understanding where on that scale the nutritional value of whatever you're consuming lies, right? And when you have that education and you realize, okay, maybe I need more of something because it has less nutrition, or less of something because it has too much nutrition, right? My point is, I was trying to make is, what is the point I was trying to make?
Trying to understand.
You know why I lost your point?
Why?
Because
you went so long with it, eh?
But anyway, okay. So let me add something to what both you were saying, and then the other Nile will jump in, right? Is that
there's a whole Kalaloa conversation going on here, right?
Is that you see that sentiment or that cliche that healthy food expensive, right? That originally came from outside of Trinidad. Right, I'm saying that because we parrot that, but for me that's not necessarily true, because me growing up for most of my life, fruits and vegetables was easily accessible in terms of money.
That is true.
Right? So it's not necessarily healthy food more expensive. Here in Trinidad and Tobago is that whatever we have in abundance is cheaper and what is scarce is more expensive. Right? So now the prices of fruits and vegetables go on way up because it is more in scarcity. This here in Trinidad I'm talking about. So if I wanted to eat healthy in Trinidad before, it's easy to get fruit. Well, it was easy to get fruits and vegetables. Now, I was saying that because it adds to the environment also, is that also whatever is abundant or scarce in the environment will be based on how much of it you consume. So if I'm in an environment, let me give an example. My mother was an English teacher and educator for 30-something years, right? So what was available to me in abundance was books, right? There was a library of books, so I consumed books, right? To somebody else, they may have an abundance of something technical that they may have done. So books to me and reading was easy. Right? So that's not even a socio-economic thing. So I think an important factor is what's available in the environment versus what's scarce, not necessarily versus what's good or what's bad. Tell me your thoughts.
I agree.
And I don't want to disregard what you just said. I thought it was very wholesome in what you said. So therefore, it is a full plate. There's no need to further ventilate or break that down. But I just want to go back to something you said before we move on. Is that when you say everything has nutritional value, and that's where I want this Nile to come in as a Nile DB, because that's inaccurate. Because there are things that you eat that have absolutely no nutritional value, and it's actually just quite the opposite. So, for example, refined sugar. There's no nutritional value in refined sugar.
Is that an accurate statement?
There's very little nutritional value.
Little or
Skittles, for example.
What do you call it? Names here now?
Skittles has food coloring, sugar. There's nothing in it that you need to live. No, if humans they could survive on almost anything, but they won't thrive. So you said that put costs into it. Pack of Skittles, I don't buy those things, but some of these, let me not call any names, but these foreign candy bars and $10, $12 so on. If you go to Namdevco or Green Market in Santa Cruz, you get a lot of fruit for that much money.
Perfect. See?
And so the thing is, people know things are bad for them. You could go to Cipriani Boulevard on a lunchtime on a Saturday, and people line up in the cars to get food that is notoriously bad for you, and they give it to the children as rewards. So I was speaking to parents once, and so you give your child this thing that's notoriously bad. I said, well, he did well in exams. I said, so when he goes to university and he does well in exams, should he try cocaine? No. I said, but you just told him it's okay to do bad things when they do well in exams. So it's a lot of it is nothing to do with us. Lots of our choices nutritionally or entertainment-wise is not up to us. So you're talking about, say, diet. When you feed yourself nonsense, your gut determines what you want to eat. Your gut determines, to a large extent, what you feel like eating. So if you're eating nonsense like chicken and chips all the time, I could eat a piece of fried chicken, boy. Is your gut saying that message? If you eat vegetables all the time, you get the same feeling for vegetables. No, people don't realize that, but you have to train your gut, you have to train your palate. Giving children these hyper-palatable, impossible to replicate foods with salt and fat and sugar, they are not going to like healthy stuff into their adulthood. And what happens to children? Diabetes is normal among children, cancer, So people
You say
know these
diabetes
things.
is normal among children. That's what you
Yeah.
just said.
It's actually accurate.
Yeah.
That.
Meeting someone 12 years old and somebody says, oh, he's diabetic. You know, back 20, 30 years ago, say, what, he born as like type 1 diabetes. No, people and changing your diet can take you out of that. So now they're saying that diabetes can be cured. And some doctors say, no, it can't be. So, okay, well, there are people who are diabetic. They eat healthy, and after 6 months, there's no sign of diabetes. The insulin is being produced again. Mm-hmm. So, so that the information is out there. You can't say you don't have the information. People know things are bad, and they're still up for the bad things.
Why is that? Why is that, Johan, say, knowing it bad for you? It's almost like smoking. You know what the cigarette does, right? It superheats your mouth. Let's not talk about the amount of cancerous elements in it.
It's expensive.
It's expensive.
The reward. The reward or the perceived reward of it, and most time is reward. So I'll use your example. If it is, I eat something that is hyper palatable, meaning that it was engineered to make me feel satiated, because that's what a lot of it.
Is it dopamine?
Not necessarily, you know. Let me go back. You remember this thing we used to have, Vetsin. You all know what Vetsin is,
Yeah,
right? Which is MSG now,
MSG,
right?
yeah.
But we used to call it Vetsin when I was a child. Doing some research, I mean, I don't have everything, but what it does, it focuses on the part of your tongue that makes you feel satisfied. So it don't matter what it is. You could just pick up a piece of grass and put some Vetsin and eat it. You say, way boy, that thing tastes real good. So if it is the reward is a feeling nice. It don't really matter what to eat. So if you train somebody, because we saying reward the child with something bad, but if a child only grew up eating that thing, they don't even know it bad or no. They just know it tastes good, I feel good. So now, even with smoking, right? In my research dealing with helping people who are addicted to smoking, and it don't matter whether it's marijuana or cigarettes, is that what it is, people feel good. People usually say, smoking is helping feel relaxed, boy, right? But why is that? Because when you hold a cigarette, one, you're only concentrating on the cigarette. So it means you're clearing your mind from all the things that were stressing you out. Two is, you're taking deep breaths, right? We know the value of breathing. So it's not even a cigarette. I could give you a pen, and if you simulate it, you'll get the same feeling.
Interesting.
Right? So I'm telling you that because it's the reward for the thing. So when I eat, you said gyro, somebody said KFC and the other things.
We didn't call no names on this show, pal.
Beep it out now, right? So the chicken and chips and things like that, right? Is that it tastes good. It brings a reward. So it don't really matter if I will that. I'll give you an example. It's a personal example. My grandmother, who passed away, I remember once she was diabetic and she had some other health issues. And I remember once we got a call saying that she kind of passed out now, right? She was at a family event. So, of course, we panic and thing. And so then when we get the news, she drank Hennessy. Right? Now, why you drink Hennessy? I asked my grandma why. She said, well, because I wanted to. So I said, but you know what the doctor told you already. She said, well, I have one life to live. After
YOLO.
that, I was like, all right, cool. So what you're asking that question is the reward. Once it have a reward, it don't matter necessarily the consequences. Even though the consequences could be real bad, you will still do it.
So we need to go to a break. And just to clear the fact that it's not necessarily Hennessy, it's just the fact that any alcohol at that point would have done the same thing. It was just you happen to call a name, right? But it's not
because that's what it was.
Correct. I drink a Hennessy every now and again. I consider myself, for the most part, trying to live a healthy life. When we come back from the break, now you mentioned something about vegetables and the gut and the same response to other things. So it's about training that. Saying that is one thing, but what are some of the tools that people can use to train themselves and parents listening on to be able to do that? Because when you have your societal influences, the other kids around you or the other persons around you doing it, how do you then get someone to then say, I don't like that, I want to eat these vegetables? It's not really likely. However, I do know people that simply would look at chocolate and other things and prefer to eat Brussels sprouts. So it can happen. We take a short break. When we come back, we're talking more about you are what you eat, more than just the food.
With the cold and flu lurking around every corner, keeping your immune system strong allows you to live the life that you want every day. Discover BioStrath Immune Health. BioStrath Immune Health is a unique plasmalized yeast product that enhances the absorption of essential micronutrients, ensuring that your body stays resilient. And now enriched with zinc, it is your go-to support for immunity. Staying vibrant and healthy just became a whole lot easier. BioStrath Immune Health. Get what you need naturally.
Where's the car?
Don't stress when your getaway car gets away. Have peace of mind with CG United Comprehensive Motor Insurance.
This mask is itchy. Does anyone have any lotion?
We can't protect you from scary clowns, but we can protect you from motor theft and damage. CG United. Good like that.
Cricket is Caribbean passion, pure energy and pride. That's why Flow is proud to be the official telecommunications partner of the Trinbago Knight Riders for CPL 2025. Win tickets to TKR home matches or an all-inclusive finals home line when you sign up for the Everything You Need plan. Plus, enjoy 25% off for 6 months. One identity, one beat, one rhythm. Visit discoverflow.co to learn more. Promotion approved by the NLCB.
Have you noticed the XL products at your local pharmacy? Endorsed by cricket star Andre Russell and many more, these supplements represent the pinnacle of natural health solutions, trusted for their efficacy and purity.
In today's fast-paced competitive job market, certification courses provide individuals with flexible and industry-relevant learning options. Increase your chances of employment with a certification course at CTS College. We have over 50 courses in business, IT, do-it-yourself or professional development to choose from, all developed by industry experts. Courses start as low as $200 and can be completed in as little as 1 day, allowing you to acquire the relevant skills you need quickly and affordably. Contact CTS College today to sign up.
Are you tired of the same old boring drive home from work? Look no further. Get ready for the ultimate after-work rush with Freedom 106.5 FM's The Overdrive with Davey. Mondays to Fridays from 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. Let Davey take you on a thrilling ride of non-stop entertainment and education. He covers the topics of the day, delves into the latest food and lifestyle trends, and brings dynamic guests from exciting professions to share their professional stories and experiences. Take advantage of this energizing and engaging experience. Tune into Freedom 106.5 FM, Mondays to Fridays, 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. for the Overdrive with Davey, the ultimate way to end your day with a bang.
This is manhood. The topic is you are what you eat. And we're continuing with something that most people don't think about when they think about health is hormones. And how you feed your hormones, and how your hormones affect you. And as men, we like to say women are emotional, but men could be very emotional. If you go up Frederick Street, there's an institution at the top of Frederick Street full of men who act out on emotions based on hormones, and the aggressive hormone, testosterone. And we're talking about you are what you eat in terms of a holistic view. And sometimes in terms of what you eat, your behavior literally is determined by your gut. Mm-hmm. So, if your gut is... The experiments have been done on mice, for example, where they take a stool sample from a human who's, say, depressed, and they put it in a mouse, and the mouse will act depressed. And you say, well, how does a mouse act depressed? The way they figure it out is very depressing. They let them drown. A depressed mouse will struggle for half the time as a regular mouse.
Wow, interesting.
And so, a lot of our behavior is determined by our hormones. Our hormones are affected by what we eat. So, so if you go into gut health, the worst thing for gut health is the most popular things. Is the ultra-processed foods, alcohol, too much sugar, and stress. Stress affects your stomach. People feel stress in the stomach. At the top of the stomach, the lower stomach, you get a gut feeling. And lots of these feelings make people act out.
I'm glad you said that, because sometimes we look at gut feeling as something from the divine, right? The way you're supposed to follow, versus it could just be where you eat.
True. But just for clarity, the building with the men with the hormones you talk about is the prison, right?
Yes.
Okay. They're like, who?
And I will co-sign that, because in my years doing counseling in prisons, right, I would say 90% of the inmates, why they're there is because of some emotional mismanagement, right? If you break it down, it's because they didn't control the emotions well. And sometimes even ask them why they did that. You know, they'd say, I don't know.
No, well, it makes sense. So could it be that their emotions, the mismanagement, was actually coming from their diet or their nutrition? And again, what we're talking about in nutrition is just not what food is, literally everything that you're consuming from around you.
But
so is that peaking the hormones of these gentlemen?
It's part of it.
Yeah.
Part of it.
So like I said, when I said you are what you eat, you eat bad, you look bad, you feel bad, and looking bad is subjective. We're not talking about whether somebody's oversized or whether somebody's skinny or whatever the case may be. In terms of your aura, your way of being, everything that about you is going to be as a result of what you eat, what you're putting into your body. Because also what you're putting into your body, what you decide to eat, is also a mindset. Mm-hmm. It's a state of mind, because you don't have the mindset to be, because the information is there. We've already said it. The information is out there with the advent of social media, so it's out there, so you know what is bad for you. As you said, ultra-processed food, sugar, alcohol, all of these different things, and yet we do it. And a lot of people say, well, everything in moderation.
Yes, that's where I was going to go with it.
Which, yes, everything in moderation, but do we consume things in moderation for the most part?
Yeah,
so
everything in moderation.
No, I don't agree with that.
Okay.
Not everything in moderation. So something a lot of men have a problem with is pornography. You take pornography in moderation, what happens at the end of the day? That moderation is different for everybody.
Well, instead of mastication,
you end up with other kind of cation.
Good.
Well, that's actually not bad.
I love that.
So as someone who counsels people, as a lifestyle wellness coach, my first question I ask people is, how was your childhood? And people like, well, it was good. I say, what was the best thing about your childhood? So you identify with that, what were you doing at that point in time to try and get a good mood? And then sometimes when you talk to people, there was a traumatic event. I said, so how does that manifest itself? I really study that. I said, well, does anything trigger, does something remind you about it? Yes. And then you realize they associate that behavior with that. So quite often, things all working together, your mental health, your physical health, your environment, they all work together for overall wellness. And quite often as men, we just told, suck it up, you're a man, be tough, but you're fighting against everything inside you, your hormones, everything that could make you a better person. So with me now, with my job, I don't believe in telling people, stop eating this, stop eating that. Or stop doing this, stop doing that. I believe add good things. So, you talk to somebody and say, what you used to like to eat? What vegetables you forced to eat as a child? You see me lettuce, I not eating no lettuce. So you're not going to tell a person go eat lettuce. Mm-hmm. It's fine. So, and one of my clients spoke to him, he's like, well, yeah, I guess I could eat lettuce. He started eating one leaf of lettuce before dinner every day. It became a habit. Mm-hmm. And so he started feeling good about it. Mm-hmm. He added to it. Another person, I really like to exercise, but there's nothing you like to, when you're a child, what you did for fun. I used to like to rollerblade. I said, well, how can you make that a habit? So, so it's behavior change, which is very difficult. Mm-hmm. I'm not a behavior change specialist, but certain things seem to work. You make it easy. You make it accessible. And so with that, so someone starts eating salad, they start feeling better about themselves, so why not? And says, so I'm getting better. I say, no, you are a healthy person. And he's like, well, I'm not healthy yet. I say, you are a healthy person. You're making healthy choices. There's room for improvement for everybody. Mm-hmm. So what we lack too in this country is encouragement. There's a lot of negativity.
Especially between men.
Especially between men. There's pecan. Mm-hmm. So when my son was born and people were giving him pecan, I was like, no, not this one. Positivity. He must feel the world is his oyster. He can accomplish whatever he wants, not this pull down thing. I don't think it's kicks. But I grew up in that. You know me a long time is pure old talk.
We still old. I mean, still.
I try to cut down on it, but it's a habit. It's a behavior change that my wife is helping with. Right. So so everybody has growth, and that's a good position to start off with, to have that growth mindset where, you know what, I'm not healthy now, what can I do to change?
So I'm going to call you out here. So the next time I see any group chat, going at it, I could pull this clip and throw that in.
Yes, you can. Pay attention to the things I say. You see, sometimes your reputation precedes you. Mm-hmm. So because of how I
That's
was,
true. That's true.
I used to talk a lot of nonsense. And then I, even playing a little fat match football, I realized some fellas can't take the talk. So I tell myself, you know what? Stop telling me. Not my job to make him stop enjoying the sweat. It's a healthy activity. Let them enjoy it, you know.
Well, just a segue on that just for a bit. I mean, there are times that, you know, you grew up with maybe particular nicknames or talk at that point, like whether, you know, back in the day, I don't know if people still do it, you know, mother talk or girl and things like that.
They don't.
And as you, it still happens?
No,
okay.
It's not a thing.
Because probably levels of violence have increased. So even what we're eating then evokes something that you no longer can control yourself in a particular manner as you may have done back in the day. And maybe even looking back at it, it was a form of bullying, who knows. But the point I'm trying to make is even persons in our circles that you may have called a particular name or had a certain behavior, now that they have families or on a different stage of their life, it's simply no longer funny. And certain people still, whether it be in sport, even calling you by your last name or your surname, anyone, you know, while you're doing something, it sometimes feels like a form of disrespect. It's like, you know, why did you call me by my first name? This sort of familiarity. But it's a very tricky thing, I find. But still, it depends where you are in life, whether you still find it.
It's out of timing.
It's out of timing is the word I was looking for. But I want to come back, Niall, to specifically what we're talking about here, and it's very important, you are what you eat. Mm-hmm. And in the opening passage that I read, it also stated about who you hang around with. And there are many times that you may want to be better, but you're simply stuck, you're in a rut, you're procrastinating, all of these different things, because you're not in this circle who can bring you out of that and to say, come along with me to the gym, or just let's go and walk around the block, or let's just skip rope, or let us virtually with each other, let us take up a kettlebell or a 5-gallon bottle of water and just do something, as in just eat that one piece of lettuce.
Something even more intense than that, if you're a married man, you shouldn't be lying with single people all the time. You know, your lifestyle must be reflected by who you're around. And a lot of people disagree with that. You know, well, I don't have to do that. But single partners will want to do single things, and you get chained up in that.
Yeah.
So, you know, so it's that whole environment thing. It encompasses everything. A child goes to a so-called prestige school, and they do well. That same child with the same effort in another school will do equally well. But the problem is, we have mutual friends who went Compre. Transfer from Belmont, went Compre, and he said, if you walk with books in our school, men want to fight you. I was like, well, that's different. So the children are told, and so this is one of the stresses that every Trinidadian goes through, well, not anymore, but SEA. Huge stress on children. The parents say, don't worry, you'll do your best. And when they pass, and the younger siblings watching, well, I really better do good. You have the stress. You pass for a school, but it might not be a prestige school. And well, I'm a failure because I'm not going to this school or that school. Everybody's supposed to go to these schools. And so when I used to play basketball, sometimes you go in these schools and it's like teacher in the class and not in the class is the same thing. Discipline is a huge issue. So one of the biggest stresses, and stress is part of what we consume, is SC. It starts at a very young age. They have to improve the quality of the secondary schools in this country. That's one of the biggest travesties in this country, I believe, right now.
So is it that the discipline, are you correlating it to the discipline there starts with, in terms of that, having that mindset that then leads into when you get older, in not having the discipline to do other things, to like be better?
Well, if
like
you think
eating,
you're a failure at 12 years old.
I'm trying to understand how we bring
So yeah, everything is associated. If you think there's no value to your life, it's easy to go and pull a gun. If I'm not expecting to live to 25, if I have no dreams or hopes, if I'm studying to be a doctor, I think about all that comes with that. But if I do average in an exam at 12 years old, and everybody say, well, they're going to this school, and that's not unique to here. I went to school in North Dakota. My roommate was a Native American, and went home by him, and all his friends seemed to first say, oh, you dropped out already? I'm like, every single person he met, the first time you dropped out already? When they drop out, we all drop out. And I couldn't believe it. I was like, I can't go home if I drop out of this. I can't drop out. I'll have to stay up and hide. You know, it's an embarrassment.
Yeah, exactly.
So now we have these young children that do SCA. And they go to schools that have a lot of facilities, have a lot of things better than some of the prestige schools. But the culture in the school is different. So one of my sons goes to QRC. QRC, you walk in that school, the children are, if a child passes you without saying good morning, I'll notice it. Behavior, I mean, it's boys, so you'll get some boyish behavior, but they're trying very well. The principal is doing a very good job there, but those same children in another school will have a totally different outcome.
Your son blessed to be going to the best school in Trinidad. Go ahead.
Well, that's debatable. And the thing is,
hold on. I think it's time to go to a break with that one. Yeah, right.
No, the thing is, he could say that about you went to QRC, I assume. So he feels that pride about QRC. The people that go to school, that they were like, if you say so, because my school is rubbish. And so this is a problem.
Agreed. But as we talk about school system, and just bringing it back to the topic, because as we're speaking about even you are what you eat, which is emotionally, physically, spiritually, so not just, again, what you eat, but we are connecting it to even the physical point of what you're eating. That gut feeling then sets you up for all of these other feelings, because you find that when you're exercising somewhat, you are eating right and doing things that are nourishing your body, because this is a machine, and garbage, like a computer, garbage in, garbage out. If you're putting rubbish into your body, then don't expect that the body is going to all of a sudden operate at full capacity in a optimal manner. And as you mentioned, school, I always realize the times that, and I know we're talking about ultra-processed foods, and there are times that when I do send my son to school with lunch that's ultra-processed, because, again, the environment, he wants those named foods, he gets swarmed by other schoolmates trying to get, but if I then send him with broccoli, pasta, grilled chicken breast, good food, he's he could sit down quietly and eat it, because nobody's asking him for any of that food. But the moment it's the quote-unquote crap that's in his lunch kit that I have to try and balance it off, because I also want to see him smile and eat it. Because then he just simply won't eat it. How do you then deal with his mindset, and the other kids, before we even talk about just forcing it into the education system? Because I recently heard the Minister of Health at the recently held U Health and Wellness Expo, and he spoke about that packaging they're now going to force manufacturers to put the packaging of the salt content and the sugar content on the front of, say, juice boxes, etc., like they do with cigarettes, cigarette smoking. But I think it's a great step forward, but is it going to be enough? Because the child doesn't really care about that.
I don't think so.
And two, I see people smoke normal with all of this on the front.
It's still less. So based on what you're saying there, Robert, the packaging on cigarettes and stuff like that warning label actually helped a lot of people not smoke. It did. It reminds people that this is bad for you, let me cut down. And I've seen people actively cut down. Similarly, the processed foods that we eat, a lot of it is marketing. We are very susceptible to marketing. That's just how it's come down. So what it really sounded like to me is discipline is the only way that good could happen, rather than bad nutrition, right? Discipline and education, because that same fried chicken and fries, I personally don't see it as bad food. I just see it as that not needs good. To be moderated a little bit more in terms of your consumption. But you disagreed with that?
100%.
And I still didn't get clarity as to why you're disagreeing with that. Did I miss it?
No, because he made the point when he said about porn, it's bad. It's not moderation. So it's almost like poison. Let me use poison. I've been extreme, right?
Extreme. You're being accurate.
Okay. But if I take a milliliter of poison versus a liter of poison, right?
Gotcha.
I still putting poison in my system.
However, my rebuttal to that would be to have people who handle deadly snakes, and taking poison is beneficial to them.
And I'll answer that by saying you know about them because they're very unique.
And I'll answer that to say it's not poison, it's venom.
And also you're feeding the gut bacteria. Mm-hmm. And so you're making it harder. And what other people realize is sugar is addictive.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And these things is sugar, the bad fats, and salt in most of these things. And a lot of these people eat these things and they get a dopamine hit when it feels good, depending on where you're coming from. So a sugar addiction is said to be as strong as a cocaine addiction.
Yeah, I've heard that.
So now you'll tell a cocaine addict, well, just a little bit of cocaine, you'll be all right.
Yeah, but what you're talking about is, you're saying you may be susceptible to sugar, to be a sugar addict, because I've had sugar and I could say, I could tell myself don't eat as much sugar. I might have the strength to do it, other people may not. Yeah. But so are you saying that you're talking about broad brushing the entire community and saying let's not eat sugar simply because there's a percentage of you that will form an addiction?
Well, 13% of Trinidad is diabetic. So I think it's enough that the burden, not like we have empty beds.
That's huge.
Not like we have empty beds in the hospital. So it's putting a burden on society. Some people try cocaine and they're good. They stop.
Right.
But you say, well, then everything should be legal. But generally speaking, sugar brings no value. It's addictive. We have childhood obesity is on the rise. Mm-hmm. All these diseases that were unique to old people. We even believe now as you get older, you put on weight. But if you watch any old videos of your parents or people back in the 50s, 60s, everybody's slim.
That's true.
But you're eating nonsense now. Everything is ultra-processed, and that affects you in different ways. For one, is the chemicals in the food that make it last longer, stay on the shelf. Two, the foods are designed to not fill your stomach. So the food industry in the United States makes twice as much food, I think it is. I'm not sure the exact number that they consume. So what they say? Well, let's just make things like potato chips that people eat it whole day. You associate things with eating. You go to the cinema, you just finish eating, you get food. They're not serving healthy food because you want stuff that makes you want to buy more. And the more of these things you buy, you're like, well, I could easily say that I could eat anything and not put on weight. Mm-hmm. Doesn't mean I'm going to go around and telling people, well, you should be able to eat anything. No, I said earlier, I don't tell people to stop eating anything. Add healthier stuff. Train your palate to like healthier stuff. If you're diabetic, you like mangoes, start eating half-ripe mangoes. You'll start preferring them for some people. Mm-hmm. Now, what works for one person might not work for another person. Everybody's unique. And that's something I learned on this wellness journey is anybody comes on the radio or the TV and say, this is a guaranteed product for you. Snake oil salesman tell me. Supplements. Snake oil salesman. Mm-hmm. And people, when I say it, well, I take this, I feel better. I say, yeah, you probably do. I was actually somewhere the other day and someone brings all these, they know I'm a wellness coach, a lifestyle wellness coach, so they bring this tablet and they say, well, this is all natural. I said, really? I've been in the bush. I never see nothing look like that in the bush. He said, well, there's some natural things in it. I said, well, let me see the bottle. Gum and that's why I can't pronounce that word. How do you pronounce that? He said, I said, well, yeah. I said, what are the natural ingredients and find out what plants they're in.
Mm-hmm. And just eat those plants, basically.
So we had to take a break, right? We have to take a break, but certainly when we come back, I want to talk a bit about those specific things, as we talk about, say, maybe high fructose corn syrup, a bit about the Vitsin that you were talking about, the MSGs, and specifically, there's this craze now, Shilajit, which is all talking about this Himalayan type salt or this tar that helps boost testosterone. And a lot of times, as you spoke about people getting older, I think it's when you cross 40, you start to lose muscle mass and even your testosterone levels start to drop. What are some of the things from a male perspective that they should be eating? But we'll talk about that after the break. You are what you eat.
What should your parents use to fight inflammation?
Omega XL.
When you hurting, my boy, what do you think I should take, babe?
My mommy and daddy should use Omega XL to fight inflammation.
Big ambition starts with clear vision. This back-to-learning season, Herrera Optical has eyewear packages for every learner. For kids 15 years and under, get a free frame with lenses starting at just $495. Scholars, it's time to level up your look with frame plus lenses from $750. Lifelong learners, purchase any frame $1,099 plus and unlock up to 30% off premium lenses like Eisen, Varilux, and Transitions in 8 bold colors. And don't miss your chance to win a $1,500 learning supply voucher or transition lenses when you purchase any eyewear package. Herrera Optical, big ambition, clear vision. Visit us in store today. This promotion is NOCD approved.
New promotions. Arima Door Center number 4, Cleaver Road, Arima, is having new arrivals and new prices. See new security steel doors, $1,900. A variety of door handles starting at $60. Bathroom vanity sets, $1,700. So hurry to Arima Door Center.
Welcome to RD Good Health Medical Center, your trusted partner in total wellness. We're conveniently located at 34B Southern Main Road, Montrose, Chaguanas. From consultations to diagnostics, vaccinations, and women's health, we're here for you. Our cutting-edge tech includes a 124-slice CT scanner, X-ray, ultrasound, and full lab services to ensure you get everything under one roof. Plus, our dialysis center offers expert, affordable care. RD Good Health, caring for you every step of the way. Contact us at 223-3730 or WhatsApp 725-4663 today.
You can make your goals unfold, go get it. You can live your dream, join the team, let's do this. You can get the help you need to succeed with Rand Credit Union. You can believe that you can achieve it. Big goals, small ones too. Rand Credit Union, we've got you. No more waiting, that won't do. Make someday today. One life, so make it good. Live the way you know you should. With Rand Credit Union, yes you could. Make someday today.
Live your best life today with Rand Credit Union.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. The message of peace and harmony. The name Islam literally means peace, amity, and concord. It is therefore the desire of the message of peace and harmony to highlight the true essence of the teachings of Islam, hence a weekly TV program on Fridays on CNC3 at 5:30 a.m. Love for all, hatred for none. Assalamu alaikum.
Welcome back to Manhood. We're discussing you are what you eat. So, I have a quick start here that I wanted just to put forward to you guys, right? In Trinidad and Tobago, individuals over 15 years old, 57% of them is considered overweight or obese. And I
over
find
the age of 15,
over
right?
the age of 15. 57% of our, and this is in 2022, the study happened. I find that's absolutely ridiculous, right?
So overweight, not obese, right?
Overweight or obese is what they have.
Wow, that's a big one. And you know, Nile DB. Right. I like that he brought that up because you always hear about BMI, body mass index, and that's where a lot of those things come from. And a lot of times I've been with people in terms of hiking and running and doing all sorts of activities, pickleball, you know, I'm a big pickleball fan, and you always hear they're over their BMI. And therefore they're considered overweight. And I look at them and I say, but you're slim, your muscle capacity, you're fit. Is that an old thing? That we're still looking at BMI and all this sort of rubbish?
I think a big part of it is the best thing that they have. It's not very accurate to a bodybuilder. We consider be obese, a professional bodybuilder, because the weight compared to the height. But there's some people who will weight better than other people. So some people, as you know, could be a professional athlete and chunkier than someone who's skinny and very unhealthy. So the BMI generally is like a guideline.
Okay, so it's not the be all and end all of things, right? All right, and that's good.
All right, and for my other stats, right after that, they say out of that group of obese or overweight or obese people, 30% are women. while 12.9 are men that are living with obesity. This is people over the age of 18.
So just 30% are women, and how many percent?
12.9. Let's just say 13%.
Now, does it come down to that, you always say women say men could eat what they want and no put on weight and women can't? I do agree with that, because if I eat a set of crap, I put on 4 pounds in 5 hours.
What happens when we're younger, we get away with it. And so
I'm still young.
Younger, I said.
Right, okay.
So as you get older, for one, your activities go down, and then your metabolism changes. So you find that a lot of people start putting on weight. And then sometimes in their head, they're like, well, I could lose that, because when they're younger, they could put on and lose. And then you reach a point where you stop losing it. And then the spiral starts. So, so it's sometimes it's as simple as planning for your future. I know, so with exercise, most people don't get appropriate exercise because everything is convenience now. You don't come out your car and sit in the same place on Cipriani Boulevard. You don't come out your car. When you go, I see people going to the supermarket and they're waiting for a spot, but you don't have spots right there. But the same people, when they go to the mall, they park in the mall and they walk 100 meters to get to some store, and it's second nature. So it's the habits that we have, the convenience of life. A lot of people now taking taxi is inconvenient, but you have to walk to the taxi. You have to walk to the corner. So it's healthier. But as you get successful, you want to buy a car. You buy a car, you want to drive everywhere. So I knew people live in Woodbrook and they drive to King George Mandela Park to sweat. Like, but it's right there, like a 2-minute walk. No, boy. But you're going to sweat. Well, you go to a gym and they take in the elevator to go upstairs to the gym. So, so things are done for scenes now rather than what it should be done for. And so
I like that. I like that you mentioned that, because recently I was working out and I was thinking, I have to plan to put myself under this strain to be healthy, right? And I was thinking about when I was younger, in terms of just how life was designed. I had to be moving a lot, right? For primary school and maybe even half of secondary school, I walked to school because that's just how it is. And not to say it didn't have taxis, but that's just how it is. They said things designed more with convenience. So society, let's use Trinidad and Tobago, but let's say in general, society was more designed to make you work out more. So it may not even be that we were healthy at the core, it's just that, and we were talking about environment, is that it's just how it was. So I didn't have a washing machine, so I had to wash by hand.
Joking boy.
When I was young, we used to have water problems, so I used to go and bring water. That's just how it was. So I got more workout by design. So that healthy lifestyle, and you are what you eat, or you eat what you are, right? That's the same kind of question, and I'm not digressing, but I'm coming back, is between nurture and nature, right? It is always a big argument with that, and it is a little bit of both. Right? So when we understand that, because what you consume is important, because if you understand who you are and you understand what is going on with you, because a lot of what I hear and we has expressed, even the disparity between men and women, right, is understanding. And if you were saying that it have no one person who could just say this is the lifestyle you're supposed to live, that means an individual thing. So understanding ourselves, one as men, real important to know even what we hear about. Well, you said something, men could eat more unhealthy food maybe than women, but we don't know if that should. I mean, Robert could probably eat something more unhealthy than Johan say, right? If you understand what I'm saying, I could eat this thing that's supposedly unhealthy and nothing happened to me, or you eat something. It's really discovering what I realizing is the truth of yourself.
And blood types as well. And
you see, he had an X factor there. So understanding that about yourself, I think what you're saying is a real important thing.
The other thing, as you're talking about, eating and you are what you eat, and as you talk about even men and women and different things, and what I would like to get as well is what, as you start to get older, one, you should be eating or not be eating, but also to say that back in the day, as they say, it was a necessity. You had to do something to get the basic needs. So you had to go for water. You had to
walk more,
and all that. But without choice. I mean, when I say you have choice, you always have choice. But in terms of you need to get water, you need to do these things. So you went and did that, and as a result, it benefited you because it was forms of exercise. However, now with technology and marketing, etc., things are designed that you no longer have to do that, which should really allow you to have more time to go to the gym. But now that you're going to the gym, it's now having to consciously work out to be fit, and now you don't want to do it because it's not you don't see it as a necessity. But there's that saying that says if you don't take care of your wellness, your illness will certainly meet you. And so,
sayings, boss.
So it is indeed a necessity, but one that now that we have choice to say go and do it, it's like instead of going to the gym, I could sit here and watch Netflix.
So isn't it safer to say that the increase in obesity that we're seeing is really from convenience and not the fact that people eating more?
You become more lazy. You become lazy.
That is convenience. The unhealthy food is convenient.
Fair enough.
Remember, I said that. You are what you eat, but that could also mean it's easy, it's convenient, it's fake. There's all of these elements in there. That all comes down to marketing. It's there. It's like, hey, you could
little or no preparation.
But I'll still have a little kickback on that simply because the majority of our country cannot afford fast food.
Really?
I would say that the majority. I would say you think the majority we could afford it one.
Fast food. Nah, man, it have all these specials, right?
We're talking about over a month. You think that the average household eating more or less in fast food?
I see. I don't know what the average household, but let me go with the prices, right? I'm going with prices that I know based on the minimum wage, right?
Okay.
That's what I compare to. Yes, you could buy, if you buy a fast food meal every day for the month, you could afford that on a minimum wage, and sometimes that could come up less than a grocery bill.
Than a market bill?
Yeah.
Than a market
bill now, in maybe within the last 4 years.
Because how I looking at it is, and I'll have to do more research on it, so I may be glib, but I thinking of it as the amount I grew up on pilau. You understand? I talk about foods that we eat as youths that we have, right? The standard meal, right? The most unhealthy thing that I had in me thinking about what my grandmother used to cook me is probably stewed chicken because of the sugar. Fair enough. Very well balanced. To have carbs, to have a little lettuce, little cabbage, some avocado for fats. I was like, that sounds to me like a very balanced, healthy meal that the majority of us is be eating nearly every Sunday.
No, but that shows your age.
Yeah. But I just want to say what I was looking for, to be specific. You are what you eat, so don't be fast, cheap, easy, or fake.
Okay. No, but you bring up your grandmother. So when people ask me what should you eat, I say, let's think what your grandparents used to eat, and that's probably a very good diet. Because the things that are now easy and convenient weren't available in those days.
Yeah, pilau is not a standard for children now, It's what's a standard for us. Pilau used to be sometimes you say poor people food. You make pilau, you share it.
Bun.
Right. It's actually the reverse now. Pilau. I never had pilau. I have had children who haven't had Portugal ever. Right? I have children who reached age 10 who never had a Portugal, right? Right? Or Portugal, right? As we say. So times change, things flip around, is that fast food back in the day used to be this kind of luxury thing. Hey, we go out and eat in a fast food restaurant. It was a special on a Friday because of the price, etc. Now is the opposite. Fast food is more of the standard or the common thing. And cooking on a Sunday, back in the day it was sacrilege to see somebody in a fast food place on a Sunday. Now that's the norm, right?
I don't know about back in the day. I'm young, so I don't know. But
okay, so when we had previous times, right?
Dementia is an issue as well.
But when you said or denial, yeah, what we coming down to, and we can, and I know this is the closing segment, and we really want to come back down to you are what you eat, and to leave people with nuggets to as to what could benefit men more than anything else to increase testosterone in a healthy manner, not to a level of aggression. We're not talking about steroids and things like that. Things that are natural, and tools to make you want to, like you started off by saying married people shouldn't be moving with single people. If you're not moving in a circle that allows you to, say, be fitter or better, then you still could make the changes that you may not even know may then influence the people that you're around to do same. And with that, the understanding of there are things that you start to learn, like when people eat fruit after their meal. It's not doing you a service because it just sits there and putrefies in your stomach. It's supposed to be eaten prior, which is why you have a bowl of fruit prior to eating. But again, even to understand that certain fruits are simply going into...
True, I'm looking at it. That's true.
I not look into him for validation. I know it's accurate, right? I've done my own research, right?
Well, for Robert's stomach, you're wrong, eh?
For Robert's stomach, right?
I've done my own research. Vaccines are bad. And I've done my own research. They really count.
Well, I didn't say I did my own research. I researched person's research. Okay. The accuracy of it.
Go ahead,
but to also say that fruits, there are certain fruits that are simply sucrose, and fructose in your body, right? No matter what it is, so like apples, bananas, broccoli, even rice, it's all recognized in your body as sugar. Even honey. So people think, oh no, it's healthy. It's still in your body recognized as sugar. Right? Apart from it, if you're eating things, we do some research on that.
So when you eat fruits and vegetables, you also consume fiber, and the fiber slows down the absorption of those sugars.
Right.
So it's not right to say that when you eat, say, a mango, for example, full of fiber and lots of other nutrients that will slow down the absorption of sugar. And if you're diabetic, you're not going to eat a ripe Julie mango because there is fructose in it. But at the same time, you're speaking about eating afterwards. It's good to eat your fiber first. So you normally eat a salad first because the stomach gets the message. For one, you can't just swallow lettuce and lots of vegetables. You have to chew it.
Right.
So the brain starts getting the message. Masticate. You're getting the message that what we eating. So after about 20 minutes, no matter what you do, you get a sense of being full. So you eat your lettuce first and you eat your carbs last. Now some people like to eat the rice first and finish off with the meat.
Come on, who's eating chicken first?
No one's saying what is the...
But old people a long time, you leave that chicken last, will be removed from your plate.
But you see, even those things you're saying, that those are culture and those are also psychological things, because the chicken was left for last because it was taught as the prize on the
correct.
Right? Also, many times people, when they prepare meals, because the meat is the prize, they take special attention to the meat, so the meat actually tastes better, right, than sometimes the other food. So if you understand how understanding what it is going on, because if you go to a culture where meat wasn't the prize, but maybe lettuce was, I just giving an example, right? Then we can't wait to eat the lettuce. So it's not even that something is because that's just how it is. It could be culture that something we don't even know where it is.
Interesting. But just finish that point. So just so I could clarify. So fibers first. Then you eat your protein, and then why is that? Why not?
The fiber will fill you up faster.
Okay.
Also, when you start chewing, the mastication puts enzymes into your stomach that lines your stomach.
Okay.
So you eat rice, you chew twice and you swallow. It's down there already. But you're chewing, it's all a process so things like junk food that you just. Well, like a lot of people are shocked to hear when I say that juice is not good for you. You don't have to chew the fruit. And so if this is full of orange juice, the first 1/10 of that cup is all the vitamin C you could absorb at that point. It's only sugar you're absorbing after that. All the fiber is gone, all the rind and all the nutrients and the rest of it are gone already. So, so it's really the process of eating, and eating natural things sends messages to your brain that say, okay, what we're eating, we're going to be full soon. And so if you eat the rice first, or bread, as we were saying earlier, simple carbs, they go straight into your blood sugar spikes, insulin kicks in, blood sugar dips, and you find you're hungry again.
Okay.
So, so you slow down that. You don't want any sugar spikes anyway, because, that leads to a lot of other issues. But the way you eat could lower those spikes.
That's actually very interesting. I actually like that.
So we're going down a path which is good. It's rich conversation of more nutrition. And I want us now to hone in as we come into a close with regards to what men should be eating and what men should be staying away from. And especially maybe some older men, or I mean, if we want to start with younger men, as they're educating themselves, more active, what they should be eating, staying away from. And like I said, when you cross that 40, which some of us have, testosterone, as I mentioned, Shilajit. I know most of us don't know about it, but
what is it?
It's I'm not a wellness expert, but just to say that it's
wellness coach, not an expert.
Wellness coach. Well, I realize that because with regards to the sugar part of honey, Again, we only come back to a long time Pong, right? To a long time Pong. The reason why we have him on the show is Niall has done excellent. I think he just did a certificate in Harvard as well on the topic. So congratulations for that. Yeah, as a coach, Shilajit, go ahead.
I was just to help you with the Shilajit. Shilajit is an abstract, is a natural substance found mainly in the Himalayas, formed for centuries by the gradual decomposition of certain plants by the action of microorganisms. It's said to be very potent, very safe dietary supplement, restoring the energetic balance and potentially able to prevent several diseases.
And in marketing now, it's also being pushed as a good for testosterone boosting and in those energy levels. Again, I say marketing, so I'm not here in any way to say it.
But let's debunk some myths, if I can, really quickly. So I've been told that, like, tofu, for example, is not good for men because it boosts estrogen. Soy. It boosts estrogen in the men, and that ultimately affects performance, right? Is that an accurate statement?
Well, I've read things that would agree with that, but if you want to be observational, and you look at a young man, say 16 years old, and they have what they call man boobs. I don't know shame anybody, and ask them what they drink. And quite often they'll say soy milk.
Interesting.
And so it's to the point where, like, you see somebody and they say, so what? And they say so, and I'm thinking they're gonna, and they say it.
But don't they say also with the chicken, whatever they inject?
Chickens don't get it. Chickens, when they reach the farm, the only thing they get is the feed, and the feed is full of soy, corn and soy. But I can't say specifically the mix, but it won't be the same as consuming soy directly.
Gotcha. Are there any foods that, like soy, that that would have the same effect or would be less beneficial to men? That you could.
I used to hear when I was younger. Don't put mustard on your food because it's acid and that will lower your sperm count. So
that's true.
So you're asking about the mustard or maybe even other things that may be acidic, if that will really lower your sperm count, or what would be the detriment?
Well, orange juice acidic, and no one worried about orange juice.
Right. Okay.
So your stomach is acidic. So some people say you have to drink alkaline water. That goes into your stomach and fights against the natural balance of your stomach. So as I said initially, I don't ever tell people not to drink or eat anything.
Okay.
Add healthy stuff.
All right.
Well, you want to know what healthy is? Think about your grandparents. Most people know it's easy to find out what's healthy. But if you want to boost testosterone, things like that, my approach is with everybody's different. And there are different aspects to lifestyle and wellness that affect you more. So some people, if they get a good night's sleep, they get up, they can do anything the next day. They don't sleep well, don't do anything. So make sure your priority should be to get enough sleep. Some people, once they have a good breakfast, they could fight through anything. Make sure you have a good breakfast, and things will roll in from there.
Okay.
But if you want to boost testosterone, and for everybody in general, you should be doing resistance training as long as you can in your life. My uncle is 92 years old. He's still there lifting weights, walking around, driving, but he was very conscious about his health. And so lifting weights does boost testosterone, exercising as well, competitive sports, but you can only do those things so long. But weightlifting generally is good for everybody.
So we come to that point that we come to a close. And again, these always are topics that we can revisit time and time again, because we always just scratch the surface. It's an appetizer. It's not the main course in any particular way. But we're happy that we were able to have this meal and have a go at it. And just something that I read, that was quite shocking to me. It was talking about soda, soft drink, as we call it, or sea drink or sweet drink, and that in 1 can of soda, apart from the sugar content, that the pH in it is, I think it's pH 2. And again, this is just very, very surface level reading, but it's pH 2, which means your body's supposed to be at like pH 7 or something to make it alkaline, whereas the sodas is at 2. And people drink 3 and 4 days, but 1 can will require your body to have 36 glasses of water in order to bring your body to the alkalinity that it requires, something along those levels.
That's interesting.
So think about it when you're having 3 and 4 or even 1 per day, what that is doing to your body, apart from the sugar content. But again, more reading, but it just shows that it's really what is pushed out there is normal for us to have our kids and be seen as making your children happy to give them these things, what it really is doing to them and their bodies, and being put out there as normal. And a lot of these products are being pushed and sponsoring many other a lot of stuff that really and truly is, as we said, poison. But again, a very rich conversation. Our final thoughts.
I could go. So final thoughts for me would be that, folks at home, a lot of what you eat, the reason why you crave it comes from marketing. And I do believe that if it is that you put a little bit more thought in the fact of what you're being fed mentally, is why you're putting what you're putting into your mouth. And exercise is the most paramount thing. Exercise and moderation is the most paramount things for healthy lifestyle.
I would say environment and culture, what you expose your family to, your loved ones. If you have cookies on the counter, people eat cookies. If you put bananas or local bananas or whatever fruit, people are going to eat that. What's easily accessible, which unfortunately is quite often the bad things, is what people go after. So I'd say, look at your environment, look at your house, look at your friends. I know not every friend is the right friend for you.
Okay, diet is not only what you consume physically, it's what you consume mentally, emotionally. And as men, one thing I do my best to practice, I'm not perfect yet, is to be around men who at least I have one thing I could learn from. Right? And no man is perfect, not myself, so I'm not expecting perfection, but at least one thing that I could learn from them, whether it's a man who's younger than me or a man who's older than me. So what I exposing myself to, which is my diet, right, is something that could actually benefit me.
So again, I think it's all been said here, garbage in, garbage out. What you put into your body, don't expect that if you put in rubbish into your body that it's going to act in a supreme way. If you put diesel in a gas engine, you're going to get that level of performance. So you are what you eat. And that we are speaking about that from an emotional, physical, and spiritual manner, because as Niall and so many, Johansen and Niall McNish had a conversation about how it affects that gut feeling is not some sort of spiritual intervention. It's literally what you're eating is going to affect everything else about you. And again, as I said it before, if you're not looking after your wellness, and only you could look after your wellness, nobody else can. You could take a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. So you are the one that's responsible for your health and your wellness and your state of mind. So you are what you eat. I think we've said it pretty much. Again, just scratching the surface. So this is Manhood. Johanse, I've not said this before. Niall and Niall.
Perfect.
Manhood, brought to you in part by Lucozade and Solomon's Bespoke.
The Spellbound Caravan is coming to you, featuring the Hive of 5, Saturday, September 6th at Gulf City Mall, 11 a.m. to 6 p.m. Get ready to experience our thrilling interactive zone, where kids and adults explore the UN